excited over defeating this giant, nor did he Fei. In Chu Chaoyun's eyes, all these great sects, unrivaled geniuses, and all sorts of glory were not worth mentioning. Xiao Chen looked at Lu Xiaoyun lying on the stage. He did not have any thoughts on whether Chu Chaoyun was vicious or not. Chu Chaoyun only used the most suitable move for the situation. Every time Lu Xiaoyun got knocked back, he would increase his strength by 10%. If this kept up, no one would know when it would end. Who knows, the next person in trouble could be Chu Chaoyun. And the victor of this match would be different. Temporarily crippling Lu Xiaoyun's limbs was the best solution, then. Furthermore, at that time, his opponent already formed an assumption. Each time, Chu Chaoyun had given his opponent a chance to get up, never attacking before his opponent stood up. Thus, Lu Xiaoyun came to assume that his opponent would never attack while he was getting up, or perhaps that Chu Chaoyun did not have the ability to or the guts to engage in close combat. Who knew, Chu Chaoyun not only had the ability to do so, he had the guts as well. With the right opportunity and the right method, everything was dealt with smoothly. Because he was the same, the genius swordsman of the Sun Moon sect glared at the extremely dissatisfied Lu Xiaoyun. He could not help but sigh in his heart, reminding himself, I have to remember this lesson. I cannot drop my guard at any moment or look down on the newcomers. Li Daoxuan, the scion of the 8 noble clans Li clan, which was famous for spears, smiled coldly and said, if he had used his full power earlier, he would not be in such state. Lu Xiaoyun thinks too highly of himself. Bai Qi, who was not far away, felt the same. In the end, Lu Xiaoyun had lost sight of his priorities. He could not even deal with the match before him, yet he wanted to preserve his strength to deal with Xuanyuan Zontian. Sima Lingxuan, who was in the seated participants' spectator stand, could not even be bothered to give Lu Xiaoyun a glance. He coldly spat out, trash. After the referee announced the result of the match, someone from the Drifting Snow Sword sect came over to carry Lu Xiaoyun away. The Misty Sword sect master watched with a smile on his face as Chu Chaoyun slowly walked over. Then, he glanced at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Zhang Kai. The Misty Sword sect's elders were very happy as well. Chu Chaoyun defeated the previously ranked 10th Lu Xiaoyun. That meant that the Misty Sword sect had a chance of getting into the top 10. How powerful! Unexpectedly, the insignificant Great Qin nation managed to produce 2 dark horses. First, Xiao Chen defeated Gong Yangyu. Then, Chu Chaoyun defeated Lu Xiaoyun. This is too much of a coincidence. That Lu Xiaoyun is quite pitiful. He carried noble aspirations, wanting to challenge Xuanyuan Zontian. Who knew that before they got to fight, he would be defeated? The most important thing is that he was defeated so miserably. His prestige is gone. He could not even stand up anymore. He was beaten up like a dead dog. The newcomers of this 5-nation youth competition are too strong. Indeed, the age of geniuses is here. First, we have Xuanyuan Zontian, who dares to challenge Sima Lingxuan. Then, we have Xiao Chen and Chu Chaoyun. Finally, after them are people like Lin Fei. After all, this was just a competition. The victor was king. Chu Chaoyun won in a straightforward and upright manner, no one would vilify him. They only sighed that the newcomers of the younger generation were growing too fast. In this grand age, if a veteran was not careful, they might lose their prestige and become a stepping stone for the newcomers, allowing the newcomer to rocket to fame. The strong came out in large numbers, like the stars flickering in the sky. When they competed for the peak, if it was not cruel or intense, it would not be the age of geniuses. The competition continued. The remaining scions of the 8 noble clans aside from Sima Lingxuan all fought their matches. This allowed the crowd to see the graceful bearing of a martial emperor's descendants. The Li clan scion was famous for spears. His spear moved like a flood dragon bursting out of the sea. When he moved his spear, it sounded like the roar of a berserk dragon. Just his vast state of water made everyone feel his potential was limitless. Wang Quan, the scion of the Wang clan, used a black whip. The whip was very unpredictable, it was changeable and could vary between soft and hard. It even managed to leave deep marks on the wind cloud arena. There was also Baiming Sheng of the Baiming clan. He used an unrivaled palm technique. Even the evil moon pavilions by Zan could not last more than 5 moves against him. When these people stepped into the dueling ring, they were invincible. In this second round of elimination, they did not meet any opponents that could defeat them. The strength that they displayed somewhat suppressed the fame of Xiao Chen and Chu Chaoyun, the newcomers. However, the most eye-catching one was the Bai clan's Bai Qi. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the exquisite saber techniques he demonstrated reached perfection. Bai Qi was the first runner-up in the previous five-nation youth competition. The crowd could clearly feel that he was stronger than the other noble clan scions. The only regret of the crowd was that no one was able to force Bai Qi to use the four-season saber technique that they wanted to see. In a way, this also proved Bai Qi's strength. Without using the four-season saber technique, he was already so strong. If he used the four-season saber technique, how much stronger would he be? Many experts stepped up and showed everyone spectacular fights and wonderful martial techniques. This was an eye-opener for many cultivators. However, there was someone who took unconventional action. He spread his fame with his extremely ridiculous behavior. Furthermore, he won all the matches he was in. He received even more attention than some of the noble clan scions. Naturally, that person was Jin Dabao. From the very start, he had relied on that coffin lid and his shameless moves. Unexpectedly, he maintained his winning streak despite being a peak superior grade martial king. Jin Babao became the irregularity of this five-nation youth competition, confounding everyone. That coffin lid made several participants feel very dissatisfied. They felt that it was an offensive secret treasure. In the end, the city lord personally checked the coffin lid and verified that it was not an offensive secret treasure before the crowd's rage was placated. Finally, the fatty had a match-up with a noble clan scion that he clearly could not defeat. He merely laughed loudly and chose to give up. Several participants who wanted to see him get beaten up felt very angry. They all cursed at the fatty for his shamelessness. For now, ignoring the fatty's brazenness, another match that the crowd was waiting for was about to start. It was the match between Yu Chengxi and Nangong Ziyu. In an instant, almost everyone focused on dueling Ring 7, watching the two valiant and formidable-looking girls. The matches of the other dueling rings became much less interesting. Even the matches of the other noble clan scions were ignored. This was because the two girls on that dueling ring were too dazzling. Apart from their outstanding strength, their absolute beauty was also a big reason for the crowd's attention. In the five-nation youth competition where the strong appeared in large numbers, it was very rare to see girls. Since ancient times, most people were of the opinion that fighting was the business of men. However, Yu Chengxi and Nangong Ziyu made everyone change their opinions by proving they were a match for men. The strength of these two girls left several male participants in the dust. These men could only try to chase after their shadows. Both these girls used fist techniques, were extremely beautiful, and were greatly talented. Everyone was curious as to who was stronger and who was weaker. The Supreme Sky Sect's Yu Chengxi was only ranked in the top 30 in the previous five-nation youth competition. However, she seemed much stronger in this round of the five-nation youth competition. During the intense qualifier, Yu Chengxi had pushed out Nangong Ziyu and obtained a seated spot, to the surprise of everyone. Given Nangong Ziyu's pride at being a noble clan disciple, she would not stand by idly after this happened. She would definitely think of a way to regain her glory. Nangong Ziyu and Yu Chengxi were bound to fight each other. Now, the two finally met in the Cloud Wind Arena. In one corner of the dueling ring, Nangong Ziyu looked at the graceful and beautiful Yu Chengxi. She calmly said, "Show me your full power. Otherwise, you will lose quickly. During the qualifier, I only used half my strength." Yu Chengxi smiled gently and replied, "That would depend on how capable you are. Let me tell you, during the qualifier, I did not even use 40% of my strength." Talk was useless. Naturally, the smack talk before the match could not determine who was the true victor. Fight. Without saying a word, Nangong Ziyu took up the pose for the Immortal Mountains and Rivers fist technique and rushed at Yu Chengxi. As Nangong Ziyu moved, the sound of gushing rivers resounded and mountains rose around her. In the blink of an eye, she materialized the power of the mountains and waters as she punched. When she launched the punch, the mountains stopped moving and the rivers stopped flowing. The power of the mountains and waters gathered on her fist, working together with her essence. Space trembled and the vast wind cloud arena shook. The sound of Nangong Ziyu's fist was like thunder, shaking the surroundings. Yu Chengxi took a step forward with her right leg and clenched her right fist. She had a cautious expression on her delicate face. Clearly, she did not dare to underestimate this punch. However, Yu Chengxi did not fear this punch, either. She countered this punch, which could make space tremble, with a punch. When the two fists clashed, Nangong Ziyu's power of mountain and waters immediately pressed over. In that instant, the force of the gushing river and moving mountains poured out without end. Yu Chengxi crouched slightly as she shouted, "Explode!" Then, when she straightened again, a dazzling light on her fist exploded. That light was fulgent and dazzling. It was like the light of the morning sun breaking through the darkness of night. Its glow shone on everything, over all the mountains and rivers. The mountain range immediately filled with golden light and the gushing rivers gleamed. When Baiming Shang, who previously harbored doubts about Yu Chengxi's strength, saw this scene, he exclaimed in shock, "How bold! Others would think of how to break this state of mountain and water." Unexpectedly, this Yu Chengxi wanted to destroy the entire state of mountain and water and completely defeat Nangong Ziyu in one go. Bang! Bang! The two boundless fist techniques clashed intensely, causing the entire wind cloud arena to shake. The wind cloud barrier rippled continuously, mitigating the shock waves. One used the mountains and waters for power and the other used the rising sun. Both were not ordinary states. States could be divided into strong and weak. For example, a person who used river against a person who used the sea. It was clear which state would be stronger. However, the stronger the state, the harder to grasp it. The harder to control, the more openings there would be. This was a great test of a cultivator's talent. Used the power of the. This was because the other state was perfect and your state was full of flaws. Under a slight pressure, it would immediately break down. Yu Chengxi and Nangong Ziyu were both clearly that kind of super genius. Their states were impressive and imposing. Furthermore, they had good control of their states, not revealing excessively obvious flaws. Light burst out, mountains moved, waves roared. Soon, the two had exchanged hundreds of moves. Huge energy waves already cracked the wind cloud arena long ago, releasing strands of dragon chi. All of Nangong Ziyu's punches contained the power of mountains and waters. When she punched, it was like a mountain range pressing down. However, Yu Chengxi was no weaker. She circulated the morning sun incantation to its limits and a fog spread out. All her punches released a vast amount of light, sending back the mountain range pressing over. The strong state of cloud and state of light complemented each other to support the morning sun fist. The combination was extremely powerful, not losing out to her opponent's power of mountains and waters. The audience all sighed in awe. The two looked like pretty, delicate girls. However, the power they could bring out was so strong. That kind of astonishing power made several males feel inadequate. That is too horrifying. To think one punch can contain so much force. I'm afraid that I can only endure 3 of such punches. Ha ha, you are boasting. If you really clashed your fist with that, I guarantee that you would not be able to take half of it. That is a great state. That's right. Just going by their strength, one uses the power of mountains and waters, the other uses the power of the rising sun, they can both make the top 5. As the crowd discussed, the match in the dueling ring became more intense. As the dragon chi spread, dragon roars resounded. Yu Chengxi had already taken the initiative to change the situation. As the morning sun shone, a rainbow bridge appeared. When she stood on the bridge, she seemed like a fairy from heaven. The mist curled behind Yu Chengxi. When she punched, light would tear through the mist. Golden fist winds that looked like lightning from the heavens rained down on Nangong Ziyu without end. Splash! The flowing water left no traces, and the mountains and rivers moved unhurriedly. The tight purple robes Nangong Ziyu wore could not hide her exquisite figure as she walked in the midst of mountains and water. The mountain range was lush and green. The sound of water flowing was graceful. When one walked in the mountains and waters, their heart would become as calm as still water. The fist winds would also become more restrained. The golden light descending down shattered. The resulting motes of lights flowed with the water. However, this moment of silence was not an eternal silence. Instead, it was for the moment when everything would erupt. At that time, the mountain range would dance and the rivers would roar, the mountains and river remained immortal. After another 100 moves, Nangong Ziyu roared ferociously. The calm flowing rivers and still mountains suddenly started moving. Bang, bang, bang. The rivers roared and pillars of water shot up through the clouds. The mountains danced, shaking heaven and earth, sending the world into chaos. Riding the boundless power within this mysterious phenomena, Nangong Ziyu left the ground and headed to the Rainbow Bridge, flying towards Yu Chengxi, who was surrounded by mist. Ka-ca, ka-ca. Before Nangong Ziyu or the Fistwind arrived, the Rainbow Bridge in the air shattered. It turned into multicolored motes of light as it scattered downwards. One punch represented the mountains and one punch represented the river. The mountains and rivers remain immortal for millennia. The seas and land exist for me. The tyrannical aura that Nangong Ziyu previously revealed now reappeared, radiating proudly. Surrounded by the mist, Yu Chengxi smiled gently. She completely unleashed the Morning Sun Fist, which she had raised to the 13th layer by means of the Daybreak Flower. Shoo! In that instant, the sky suddenly turned dark and night fell. The darkness seemed boundless, time seemed to move very slowly. Nangong Ziyu's very fast punch became slow enough for the crowd to see every move clearly. An unknown amount of time passed. Perhaps it was an instant, perhaps it was 100 years. Then, a morning sun rose up in the east. Instantly, its radiance filled the sky and land, reilluminating the entire place. In contrast to the dark night, the rising sun looked very dazzling and resplendent. This was the state of morning sun. Only when one experienced true darkness and was reborn in fire could one perfect the state of morning sun. Only then could one cast a vast light over the mountains and rivers. When the fiery red morning sun cast out the final bit of darkness, the graceful Yu Chengxi met with Nangong Ziyu's immortal mountains and waters. Boom, boom, boom. The instant the two fists clashed, the tall mountains behind Nangong Ziyu collapsed. The never-ending, gushing river turned into a whirlpool, no longer moving forward. The mountain was shattered, the water was broken. This was the end of the line. Nangong Ziyu vomited a mouthful of blood and the outstanding and proud tyrannical aura vanished to nothing under the light of the morning sun. Only at this moment did Nangong Ziyu reveal the frailty of a young girl as she fell to the ground. As Dragon Chi spread through the wind cloud arena, dragon roars resounded without end. Although the morning sun in the sky already dimmed significantly, it was still rising proudly, scattering its light over all the land. Yu Chengxi gently waved her hand and the dim rising sun behind her scattered. Then, she wiped the blood from her lips and gently floated down. The cracks in the wind cloud arena slowly started to heal on its own. Following that, the dragon chi vanished and the dragon roars slowly came to a stop. The pale Nangong Ziyu looked at Yu Chengxi and said gently, "You win. It was indeed not a coincidence that you could snatch my seated spot. Can I ask, how much of your strength did you use?" Nangong Ziyu's question was clearly what everyone wanted to know as well. The other scions of the 8 noble clans all perked up their ears and looked over. Yu Chengxi was able to defeat Nangong Ziyu. The pattern of the 8 noble clans monopolizing the top 8 ranks in the 5-nation youth competition would probably be broken. The strength that Yu Chengxi displayed was already a possible threat to those of the 8 noble clans. After all, Xiao Chen and Chu Chaoyun had only defeated disciples of the 10 great sects. As for Yu Chengxi, she had defeated Nangong Ziyu, a scion of one of the 8 noble clans. In terms of results, Yu Chengxi had achieved more than Xiao Chen and Chu Chaoyun. Thus, she attracted more attention. Yu Chengxi was not unreasonable. There was no grudge between her and Nangong Ziyu. Furthermore, they were both female cultivators and respected each other's strength. So, she answered Nangong Ziyu. However, Yu Chengxi used her essence and projected her voice, telling only Nangong Ziyu. This disappointed the others. After Nangong Ziyu heard the answer, a long drawn-out smile appeared on her pretty face as she left the dueling ring. Senior brother Xiao Chen, in your opinion, what % of her strength did Yu Chengxi use? Lu Sufeng, who was beside Xiao Chen, asked out of curiosity. It was not just Lu Sufeng. The other cultivators who watched the match were all discussing this question. However, they could not come to a conclusion. Some argued that Yu Chengxi used only 60% because the morning sun had not scattered after she completely defeated Nangong Ziyu and shattered the power of the immortal mountains and rivers. There were some who argued that Yu Chengxi had used her full power because the immortal mountains and rivers' fist was so mighty. They believed it was impossible for her to have used only 60% of her strength. Xiao Chen made his own evaluation and said, probably about 80%. The two's strengths do not differ by much. If Yu Chengxi used only 60% of her strength, then the first few hundred moves would have already severely injured Nangong Ziyu. Yu Chengxi obtained victory by relying on the advantage of her state. In the end, Nangong Ziyu's immortal mountains and rivers was not perfect enough. As for Yu Chengxi, her morning sun is already infinitely close to perfection. Lu Sufeng nodded seriously, pretending he understood. Then, he asked again, infinitely close to perfection, what does that mean? Xiao Chen glanced at Yu Chengxi on the dueling ring. After organizing his thoughts, he said, it is just my gut, but her morning sun seems to lack a natural feeling. There are some traces of artificiality. However, to most people, it is no different from perfection. When Xiao Chen glanced at Yu Chengxi, she had noticed his attention. She smiled and projected her voice at Xiao Chen, saying, Xiao Chen, I will wait for you at the ranking matches. I hope you will be able to make me use my full power this time. Xiao Chen likewise projected his voice with essence and replied, don't worry. I will not disappoint you. Yu Chengxi was the first to defeat a noble clan disciple within the past few 5-nation youth competitions. Now, she immediately became the focus of everyone's attention. Everyone predicted that Yu Chengxi had the strength to fight her way into the top 5 and become the greatest dark horse of this 5-nation youth competition. Even Xiao Chen's and Chu Chaoyun's fame could not match up to hers. There would always be people with exceptional ability in every generation. Xiao Chen, Chu Chaoyun, and Yu Chengxi were very good proof of this saying. This made the 5-nation youth competition more exciting, more interesting. After all, if the same people kept winning the competition, it would start to become boring. The people of the city lord's residence, who organized the competition, seemed clearly satisfied with their performances. The dueling rings were filled with pleasant surprises and unexpected events. This would help sustain and increase the influence of the 5-nation youth competition. Up to this point, there were no longer many matches in the second round of elimination that could incite the crowd's excitement. After all, the seeded participants were separated and would not face much strong opposition. The match between the crowd's favorite, Xuanyuan Zantian, and Chu Chaoyun disappointed everyone. They only exchanged 10 moves before coming to a tacit understanding and declaring it a draw. However, it was reasonable when one thought about it. This was not the ranking matches yet. Their strengths were about equal. If they really fought, they might end up revealing all their trump cards. Then, they would lose many of their advantages when they faced the other participants. Next match, Xiao Chen vs Lin Fei. As the somewhat dull matches continued, the moderate volume voice of Group 5's referee immediately attracted the attention of many people, causing them to focus on dueling Ring 5. Xiao Chen and Lin Fei are both on the newcomer ranking list. Furthermore, they both have not tasted defeat yet. Given Lin Fei's personality, he definitely will not agree to end the match in a draw. That is natural. Ever since Xiao Chen defeated Gong Yangyu, his fame has surpassed Lin Fei's. Lin Fei is probably feeling very frustrated. Actually, Lin Fei's strength is also somewhat unfathomable. No one could truly block his Earth Vein Saber technique. What's more, no one knows if he still has other trump cards. Chu Chaoyun and Xuanyuan Zantian drew against each other. In that case, their winning streaks came to an end. The only newcomers with a winning streak are now these two. This match will be very exciting. The two of them are both expert bladesmen and newcomers who still have a winning streak. There are too many reasons for this to be exciting. Relative to the somewhat dull matches, this would definitely be much better. Before Xiao Chen and Lin Fei's match started, it elicited fervent discussion among the audience. However, Lin Fei had waited for this moment for a very long time. Like everyone else guessed, he was indeed feeling very frustrated. After the referee announced the next match, Lin Fei pushed off the ground and landed in the dueling ring. Xiao Chen, don't think that after defeating Gong Yangyu, you have overtaken me. Your winning streak will end here. When Lin Fei saw Xiao Chen, he revealed a disdainful smile, purposely mocking him. Unaffected by his words, Xiao Chen replied calmly, "Do your best and make your move. Let's see if your winning streak will be the one ended instead." Lin Fei's earth vein saber technique was very unpredictable. It was indeed hard to deal with. However, it was as Xiao Chen said, if Lin Fei wanted to rely on this saber technique to keep getting victories, he would not make it to the end. After he used the earth vein saber technique for so many times, it was no longer a strange move. "Ha ha, you better grasp your saber tightly. I'm coming." Lin Fei smiled gently and his aura suddenly changed. His gaze became as sharp as a saber. Then, he immediately rushed at Xiao Chen with great speed. It had to be said that Lin Fei might be very brash, but when he entered his combat mode, his earlier disdain and impatience promptly vanished. If one became confused by the different aura he displayed, one would be at a disadvantage when they exchanged moves. Kai. Lin Fei was very fast. With his speed, he was like a solitary, sharp treasured saber. He sliced the formless wind blocking his path like it was a sheet of white paper. When Lin Fei got to within 10 meters of Xiao Chen, the crowd thought that he would attack Xiao Chen from the front, or perhaps go around and attack him from the side. Suddenly, Lin Fei's upper body unexpectedly shifted downwards. Others might have thought that he tripped over something. Naturally, the cultivators present did not think so. This maneuver was how Lin Fei abruptly changed moves. He kept close to the ground. At some point in time, he had drawn his saber, which flickered with a cold light. Continuing to move at an extremely fast speed, Lin Fei flew towards Xiao Chen, his saber pointed towards Xiao Chen's knees. It is really hard to imagine that Lin Fei can actually attack this way. Furthermore, he was able to change his moves within such short time. The most important thing is that his actions did not expose any opening at all. It looked very natural. Clearly, he has practiced it many times. It seems like it was not a fluke that this Lin Fei has managed to make this far today. Many cultivators in the spectator stands were surprised and commented on it. If they were in this situation, they might not be able to defend against it. They would end up being beaten up until they lost their combat prowess. Even if they could react quickly and dodge it, they would lose the initiative of the battle. This would result in them being able to only passively defend against Lin Fei. How then would Xiao Chen deal with this? For most people, their first reaction would be to retreat. This was because the lower body of cultivators was one of the hardest areas to defend. Furthermore, Lin Fei attacked with fast speed and unpredictability. It would be very problematic to block his saber. Retreating was the best method. Even if they lost the initiative, it could not be helped. However, Xiao Chen did not retreat. This was because he did not need to retreat. Just as Lin Fei's saber was about to strike Xiao Chen's knees, in the time it would take to strike a spark, Xiao Chen moved. He aimed the tip of the undrawn lunar shadow saber in his left hand at Lin Fei's wrist. As the tip of the scabbard moved down, its speed reached its peak, giving off a piercing sonic boom. As long as Lin Fei did not move his wrist away, this scabbard would pierce through it. By relying on superior speed, even though Xiao Chen moved later, his strike would land first. He instantly dealt with Lin Fei's strange attack. He even placed Lin Fei into a difficult position. If Lin Fei moved forward, he would be able to cripple this strong opponent immediately. This was how tempting this strike was. However, if Lin Fei was too slow, his wrist would be pierced through, resulting in him losing his combat prowess. Victory and defeat could be decided in an instant. This simple move shook everyone to their core. The intent of Xiao Chen's move was to compete with Lin Fei in speed. "I will only challenge you this way, without saying a word. Do you dare accept? Do you have the guts? If you are faster, you will win, becoming famous and known by many. If you are slower, you will instantly sink into a deep abyss, ending up in a sorry state like Lu Xiaoyun, losing all your glory." This great contrast challenged Lin Fei's mental state. If Lin Fei's state of mind was weak, that it would have a severe negative impact during his moment of tortuous decision-making. If he hesitated, he would not even have the chance to decide, losing right away. Retreat. Lin Fei had seen Xiao Chen's match with Gong Yangyu. He knew that Xiao Chen's attacking speed was very fast. So, he retreated. In the end, he did not dare to compete with Xiao Chen in speed. Slapping the floor with his left hand, Lin Fei shifted back into a standing position. The sneak attack failed. I lost the initiative. I have to quickly put some distance between us, Lin Fei immediately thought as he revealed an unsightly expression. Bang! There was a loud sound as the tip of Xiao Chen's scabbard struck the wind cloud arena. Then, it sank into the arena by 3 centimeters. The great force left everyone watching flabbergasted. The most frightening thing was that despite the great force, the wind cloud arena did not crack, the force did not spread out. The crowd thought in horror, if Lin Fei did not retreat, this move might have chopped off his hand. Shoo! An electric saber light flickered. After Xiao Chen stabbed the scabbard into the stage, he did not stop. He immediately drew the lunar shadow saber and hacked at Lin Fei with 2 hands. While you are down, I will take advantage of it. This had always been Xiao Chen's style. Now that his opponent had lost the initiative, this was the best moment to attack. Xiao Chen would not attack for no purpose. If he attacked, he would use a mighty force to injure or cripple his opponent. Lin Fei had just gotten up. Before he had time to move away, he had to face this saber that roared like rushing thunder. Supporting his saber with his left hand, he held it across his chest in passive defense. With a loud clang, the huge force struck Lin Fei's saber like a thunderous mountain pressing over. Before Lin Fei could react, he vomited a mouthful of blood. He immediately flew backwards like a launched cannonball and crashed into the wind cloud barrier. The strong rebound sent Lin Fei falling to the ground and vomiting another mouthful of blood. He immediately turned incomparably pale. Xiao Chen rushed forward, not giving Lin Fei time to catch his breath. He executed his state of thunder and state of massacre together, not allowing his opponent a chance to initiate an attack. Dang! 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 The weapons clashed and sparks appeared. Lin Fei defended wearily, he was knocked back continuously. The expression on his pale face became even more unsightly. Every one of Xiao Chen's strikes was filled with a vast force. With the support of the 2 states, his strikes became mightier, causing Lin Fei more injury. If this continued, Lin Fei would definitely be defeated within 100 moves. Earth Vein Saber Technique. After enduring for a long time, Lin Fei finally caught hold of an opportunity. He executed the saber technique that made him famous. When he blocked Xiao Chen's attack, he suddenly fired a strand of saber chi from his feet at Xiao Chen's chest. The Earth Vein Saber technique was also very mighty. It used the Great Earth for power and was equal to Lin Fei's full power attack. Lin Fei did not hope that this strand of saber chi would injure Xiao Chen. He only hoped that it would give himself a respite. Since he was heavily injured by Xiao Chen's attack, he had not had time to catch his breath. The injuries in Lin Fei's body became more and more serious. If they kept accumulating, he would definitely not be able to suppress them. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said calmly, I have been waiting for this Earth Vein Saber technique for a long time. While others were afraid of this Earth Vein Saber technique, Xiao Chen never had been. Xiao Chen clenched his left hand and circulated his vital qi. A sharp azure energy gathered at his fist. This was the Dragon Claw Fist's 3rd move, Fist-Breaking Armor. Bang! The sharp azure energy clashed with the saber qi. With the armor-breaking properties of this punch, it shattered that strange of saber qi and reduced it to nothing. Of course, the energy of the fist-breaking armor also completely cancelled out. While Xiao Chen attacked with his left fist, he did not stop moving his right hand. He gently swung his saber and sent out an arc-light chop. Another injury was inflicted on Lin Fei's body. The electric energy in the arc-light blasted him far away. You are just bullying people. Xiao Chen, you are provoking me. From the start of the match, Lin Fei had been suppressed all the way. The Earth Vein Saber technique that made him famous was instantly broken by his opponent. Lin Fei could no longer hold back the rage in his heart. He roared ferociously and his saber started humming. A sharp saber intent started spreading out from his saber. Lin Fei calmly said, originally, I was only going to use this in the ranking matches. Xiao Chen, you should feel honored that you managed to force me to use this. The audience was immediately shocked. They had not expected Lin Fei to hide himself so deeply. Unexpectedly, he had even comprehended the difficult-to-comprehend saber intent. Furthermore, he had not used it before this. Xiao Chen is in trouble now. With the support of saber intent, the might of a bladesman's martial techniques would be increased by at least 50%. Looking at Lin Fei's saber intent, he is likely to have comprehended it to 20%, only slightly weaker than Bai Qi's. Furthermore, both of them are bladesmen. One has saber intent and the other doesn't. The difference between them would be very obvious. Indeed, if Xiao Chen was a swordsman, he could use sword intent. However, he is a bladesman, he does not have anything he can use. The cultivators in the spectator stands sighed gently. Saber intent was hard to comprehend. However, once one comprehended it, they could gain a boundless might. This was something that was widely acknowledged. The situation was probably going to turn around. Withering plants. Lin Fei shouted ferociously and executed his trump card. A desolate aura spread out from his saber, making one feel the aura of death. If there were any plants here, the power of this saber technique would be able to make them wither quickly. With the support of saber intent, the might of this move would increase explosively, giving it the might to decay everything. This time, Lin Fei took the initiative to attack, hoping to turn the tables. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said indifferently, "Saber intent. I seem to know it too." Wang. The pitch-black lunar shadow saber trembled continuously. Xiao Chen's saber furiously released a saber intent that was stronger than Lin Fei's. The strong saber intent passed through the wind cloud barrier. The nearby bladesmen felt their hearts palpitate and their sabers trembled as well. This is a peak small perfection saber intent. It is equal to Bai Qi's saber intent. This is shocking. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen comprehended saber intent as well. Furthermore, it is significantly stronger than Lin Fei's saber intent. The audience's expressions changed greatly. Only at this moment, they were shocked to realize that Xiao Chen's strength was unfathomable. A strong wind blew and clouds churned, massing above Xiao Chen. This was the starting move of the lightning tribulation saber technique, gathering cloud and wind. Winds blew and clouds moved, gathering together. As the winds and clouds gathered, Xiao Chen took a step forward. With an even stronger momentum than earlier, he swung his saber. Fu Si. Fu Si. The saber intent Lin Fei was so proud of, making it his trump card, broke like dead branches on a tree. Xiao Chen's stronger saber intent instantly defeated it. Even Lin Fei's withering plants attack failed. Before his saber could get close to Xiao Chen, the strong momentum of Xiao Chen's move had broken through. Dang! A melodious clang rang out and Lin Fei's saber flew out of his hand. A strong, irresistible force sent Lin Fei flying. Crashing into the wind cloud barrier, Lin Fei vomited a large mouthful of blood. The injuries he had been suppressing instantly erupted. He fell to the floor and could not get up again. How can it be? You actually comprehended saber intent as well. As Lin Fei looked at Xiao Chen, whose aura was unrestrained and whose clothes fluttered in the gathered wind and cloud, he revealed a look of heavy shock in his eyes. He had not imagined such an result. The victor is Xiao Chen. You get 2 points. The referee looked at Xiao Chen, feeling very curious. He realized that he could no longer discern the strength of this youth. Xiao Chen slowly walked to where his scabbard was stuck in the wind cloud arena. Then, he sheathed his lunar shadow saber and pulled out the scabbard with his left hand before leaving the dueling ring carefreely. Roar. The instant the scabbard was pulled out of the wind cloud arena, a strand of dragon chi immediately escaped from that hole. This strand of dragon chi had been suppressed by Xiao Chen's scabbard. The moment it came out, it gave off a resonant dragon roar. This dragon roar was much louder than any of the dragon roars that had previously been heard. The originally formless dragon chi of the dragon roar unexpectedly took form. The dragon chi roared ferociously and broke through the wind cloud barrier. Then, it flew into the skies of Dragon Sealing City, soaring towards the thick, gray clouds. Shoo! The dragon chi tore through the dark clouds and opened a hole in the sky. A piercing golden light instantly descended from the sky, encasing Xiao Chen within it. This golden light was resplendent, moving together with Xiao Chen. When all the cultivators in the crowd saw this scene, their mouths dropped open in wordless shock. Such a scene had happened to Sima Lingxuan during the qualifiers. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen now received such a treatment. Lin Fei, who finally managed to get up, felt unresigned when he saw this scene. He said furiously, "Damn it. Encased by golden light, receiving the awe of the crowd, all this should be mine." Bai Qi, who had never truly viewed Xiao Chen as a rival, had a completely serious expression on his face. Now, aside from Xuanyuan Zantian, there is one more person to compete with for the top 3 positions. Sitting alone in the seated participants' spectator stand, Sima Lingxuan, who was radiating a strong self-confidence, revealed a strange look in his eyes. However, it quickly faded away. He said softly, "No matter how strong you are destined to be my stepping stone in this 5-nation youth competition. It is a tragedy for you to be in the same generation as me, Sima Lingxuan." When Xiao Chen finally took a seat, the golden light around him slowly faded away. The hole in the thick, dark clouds slowly mended as well. Such a scene made the originally dull other matches even more dreary. Following that, the matches of the 8 noble clans' scions attracted some attention. As for the other matches, no one paid attention to them. The cultivators in the spectator stands all discussed the geniuses that appeared in droves in these 2 elimination rounds. Actually, there are only 4 true outstanding newcomers in this 5-nation youth competition: Xiao Chen, Chu Chaoyun, Xuanyuan Zantian, and Yu Chengxi. The rest are just there to make up the numbers. That's not right. How can you count Yu Chengxi as a newcomer? She participated in the previous 5-nation youth competition. How can she not be counted? Her performance in the previous 5-nation youth competition was not outstanding. During this competition, she stood out from the crowd and defeated Nangong Ziyu. So, she can be considered a newcomer. Right, I feel that she can be counted too. This is unfortunate for Lin Fei. If he had not been defeated so miserably by Xiao Chen, we would have 5 genius newcomers instead of 4. Indeed, he is also an peak genius bladesman who comprehended saber intent. Unfortunately, he met with Xiao Chen and lost too miserably. Once the fervent discussions of the cultivators started, they could not stop. It seemed very lively. These cultivators could not be blamed, either. Compared to the previous 5-nation youth competitions, this competition was much more exciting. The genius newcomers emerged in large numbers and the expert veterans were still as strong. The presence of both the new and old generated intense competition. Everyone could feel this clearly. Geniuses came out in large numbers, gathering together. This was a great age of cultivators, all fighting for supremacy. How could the crowd not be excited at being able to personally witness the era of geniuses descend upon them, to see birth of the main character of this era? The geniuses they saw today might be potential martial emperors, leaving their names behind in history. I feel that these 4 people have the strength to make it into the top 5. The trend of the 8 noble clans monopolizing the top 8 spots will be changed. It is still too early to say. Think about the strengths of the 8 noble clans' scions. Which one of them is mediocre? Furthermore, how much older are they? The results will be hard to predict. That's right. We will only know who is stronger or weaker after they fight. However, this 5-nation youth competition is a feast for the eyes. I did not make this trip in vain. As the noisy discussions carried on, the second round of elimination slowly came to an end. Today's elimination round was different from the previous one. The participants could not leave after they finished their matches. The people of the city lord's residence tabulated the scores and announced the 100 people who were qualified to participate in the ranking matches. These 100 people would also be the ones listed in the True Dragon ranking. When the 5-nation youth competition ended, their names would truly shake the world. Morong Chong clearly seemed nervous. Given his proud nature, he cared a lot about True Dragon ranking. In today's elimination round, he had lost 7 matches and had 3 draws. He was not confident of making it into the top 100. Yun Kashin's complexion was currently pale. She had been injured in battle and had to drop out early. Although she was able to let it go, with the top 100 about to be announced, she still could not help but be dejected. Boom, boom, boom. Wind and thunder roared and the 20 dueling rings merged together, forming 10 larger dueling rings. Then another dueling ring suddenly rose up in the center of the Cloud Wind arena. It was clearly different from the others. That was the wind cloud platform. It had a total of 10 corners, and had a dragon pillar in every corner. The dragon sealing city's city lord stood on the platform, holding a name list. He said, "I will now announce the participants who qualify for the ranking matches. If you do not hear your name, you are not selected." As the city lord read out the names, the final suspense of the day was finally dispelled. Fortunately, Morong Chong's was read out. This meant that 2 people from the Heavenly Saber Pavilion made it into the True Dragon ranking. The city lord only read out 99 names. He did not read out the 100th name. However, everyone knew that spot was reserved for Sima Lingxuan. This was a special glory reserved for him. The ranking matches will officially begin 3 days later. We will announce the rules at that time. You may all now return to rest. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion's courtyard in Dragon Sealing City. 3 days later, Zhang Kai said to Xiao Chen and Morong Chong with a serious tone, "Morong Chong, Xiao Chen, the ranking matches are about to begin. There is no need for you two to feel any burden. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion already owes you two too much just by reaching this far." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "Human affairs are determined by fate. As long as I did my best, I will not have any regrets." Morong Chong said the same thing. After reaching this far, he had seen countless geniuses. During this process, he had matured a lot. Zhang Kai smiled. "Let's go then." On the tall wind cloud platform with the 10 dragon pillars, the dragon sealing city's city lord, Zhang Liang, announced the rules of the ranking matches. The ranking matches would not divide the participants into groups. There would be a total of 100 rounds. In each round, each participant would fight only once. That meant there would be a total of 50 matches in one round. Like the elimination round, the ranking matches would use the same point system. Every participant would start from 0. Each victory would net 2 points, and each loss would deduct 2 points. The only difference was that no draws were allowed, a victor had to be decided. The purpose of this was to prevent a situation, like in the elimination rounds, where the participants could agree to draw. They were now in the final stages of the competition. Naturally, the organizers would not allow such a situation to happen. It was impossible for finish 100 rounds in a day. So, the competition would end for the day before dusk or when they finished 50 rounds. All the ranking matches might take 4 or 5 days. Chapter 585, 4 Dragon Veins Awaken. The rules for this round are rather interesting. After fighting for 100 matches, the strengths of all the participants will be revealed for sure. It will be impossible for them to hide their strength. However, the lineup of each round is not decided by the participants themselves or by drawing lots. Instead, it is decided by the city lord. That is not a problem. The city lord's residence is very reliable. They will not favor any participants. My guess is that they did this to prevent some of the super geniuses from meeting each other too early. If the super geniuses met each other too early, it would not be very interesting. It is best to leave those matches for later. Overall, the rules for these ranking matches conformed with the norms. There was nothing new or anything worth complaining about. All the sects and elder-leveled characters did not have any opinion about it. When no one spoke up, Zhang Liang continued, "Since there is no objection, then I invite all the 100 participants to come up to the platform. We will begin the ceremony for gathering luck. After this, the first round of the ranking matches will start." Luck is ethereal and formless, it is not tangible. How can one gather it? Xiao Chen felt very curious about this ceremony. As he went up, he was filled with anticipation. There was a total of 11 wind cloud platforms. Aside from the tallest wind cloud platform in the middle, there were 10 people in each of the lower wind cloud platforms. Zhang Liang closed his eyes and brought his hands together to form hand seals. These hand seals were extremely ancient and complicated. However, he changed the positions of his 10 fingers more than 100 times in an instant. An ancient, dignified, imposing, and divine aura spread out from Zhang Liang's body. The tallest wind cloud platform below him started shaking intensely. Roar, 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 roar. At an unknown depth below the wind cloud platform, 4 desolate dragon roars started to resound in an oppressive manner. The dragon roars were deep and prolonged. There was a great difference from the dragon roars issued by the dragon Qi. That ancient and wild aura laid a heavy pressure on the 100 participants. The participants felt like their shoes were filled with lead, they could not even take a step. They also felt like there was a huge rock pressing on their chests, it was hard to bear. Did I hear wrongly? There were actually 4 dragon roars. 4 dragon roars mean that 4 dragon veins had awakened. In the past, there would at most be 2 dragon veins awakening. The rumors of this being the era of geniuses are definitely true. All 4 dragon veins are awake. The participants of this 5-nation youth competition will obtain more than 4 times the usual amount of luck. In the spectator stands, many of the cultivators who had seen past 5-nation youth competitions said that 4 dragon veins awakening meant that the era of geniuses had started. There would be a martial emperor appearing in the future. During one such era of geniuses, there had been the Thunder Emperor, Sang Mu. He was someone who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the great Tianwu Emperor. What kind of powerful character would appear this time? The dragon roar stirred the dark clouds in the sky. Clap after clap of thunder boomed. The atmosphere of the entire place became oppressive and heavy. Shoo! When the thunder stopped rumbling, 100 holes appeared in the dark clouds thousands of meters above Dragon Ceiling City. 100 beams of golden light descended from the sky, looking like pillars of light encasing all of the participants of the ranking matches. Drip a drop of blood on the jade pendant at your waist and the ceremony will be complete. With 4 dragon veins awakening, how much luck you can gather would depend on yourselves. Zhong Liang's somewhat weak voice resounded. When Xiao Chen heard that, he took out the dragon-shaped jade pendant. That little golden dragon was currently swimming carefreely in the translucent jade pendant. Xiao Chen pricked the top of his finger and squeezed out a drop of blood. The blood permeated into the jade pendant and infused into the little golden dragon's body. Pooh! Xiao Chen felt like his mind and spirit merged with the little dragon's. That little dragon seemed to have become his incarnation. Furthermore, he seemed to have established a weak connection with a great existence. However, it felt very faint. The ranking matches would all take place in the same wind cloud platform. After the ceremony was over, 4 referees appeared on the wind cloud platform. Ranking matches, Match 1 of Round 1, Wang Quan vs. Lin Fei. Wang Quan was the scion of one of the 8 noble clans. Having ranked 6th in the previous 5-nation youth competition, he was a true giant of the younger generation. The weapon he used was the relatively hard-to-use Dragon Fiend Whip. The Dragon Fiend Whip. According to stories, the expert ancestors of the Wang clan had killed a fiend dragon. Then, they extracted its spine and refined it into the Dragon Fiend Whip, giving it to the Wang clan's younger generation to use. Lin Fei was one of the experts on the newcomer ranking list. His Earth Vein Saber technique was very unpredictable. What was even rarer was that he had comprehended saber intent to 20%. Although Lin Fei had lost to Xiao Chen, no one would deny Lin Fei's strength. The crowd guessed that while he would not be able to defeat Wang Quan, he would be able to put up a fight. If Lin Fei could put up a fight, he would be able to keep fighting, dragging this out. Even if he could not obtain victory, a fight against an expert could increase his comprehension, helping him raise his cultivation. Wang Quan kept the Dragon Fiend Whip tucked into his belt. He looked at Lin Fei with a relaxed expression and smiled. You are Lin Fei, right? I have been paying attention to you and have wanted to give your Earth Vein Saber technique a try. Make your move. Wang Quan's attitude made Lin Fei feel very unhappy. He said, don't put on a look of assured victory. Be careful of an unexpected failure. Ha ha. Then let me see how are you going to make me meet with an unexpected failure. Wang Quan smiled faintly, not taking Lin Fei's words to heart. Lin Fei had already revealed all his strength in his fight against Xiao Chen. Wang Quan did not feel any pressure going against Lin Fei. If not for the fact that Xiao Chen's fight with Lin Fei had piqued his interest, making him want to try the strangeness of the Earth Vein Saber technique for himself, he would not even bother saying anything. Wang. Lin Fei immediately drew his saber. He did not have any intention of hiding his strength when going against Wang Quan. From the very start, he used his saber intent. Lin Fei sent out a strand of saber chi from his feet and his figure flickered, quickly arriving before Wang Quan. He had a 7-meter-long saber light as he hacked down. With the support of the saber intent, the saber light pulsated with a cold gleam. Wang Quan was not in a rush to clash with his opponent. He pushed off the ground and dodged the saber light. For the next 10 moves, Wang Quan kept dodging, not wanting to attack. He weaved through the saber lights that Lin Fei sent at him. Earth Vein Saber Technique. After Wang Quan dodged another move, Lin Fei finally executed his Earth Vein Saber Technique. He fired out a saber chi from his feet and, at the same time, attacked with the saber light on his saber. Kai. Kai. Even though Wang Quan had already anticipated this move, the saber chi from Lin Fei's feet still managed to tear a hole in the area around his chest. If not for his good movement technique, this attack would have injured him. Not bad. Continue. A strange light flashed in Wang Quan's eyes and he smiled faintly. Seeing that Wang Quan did not have any intention of taking out his Dragon Fiend Whip, Lin Fei was completely infuriated. He combined his saber intent with his Earth Vein Saber Technique, executing them at their limits. Suddenly, the saber light shone brightly, causing a strong wind to howl. Before Lin Fei's unpredictable saber technique, danger sprung up all around Wang Quan. He was like the dead leaves in the wind. It seemed like he would be injured by the saber chi at any moment. After another few dozen moves, Wang Quan shook his head slightly. The Earth Vein Saber Technique is indeed powerful. Unfortunately, Lin Fei has not comprehended the state of Earth and cannot bring out its full power. Wang Quan completely lost interest in the Earth Vein Saber Technique. Clutching the Dragon Fiend Whip at his waist, he said softly, "It is time for the game to end. It is time for you to lose." He gently swung his hand up, coiling the Dragon Fiend Whip around himself and encasing himself. He formed several wind blades flying in all directions. The instant the violent storm of wind blades was sent out, the power of Lin Fei's saber technique broke off. He initially intended to build up some power for the Earth Vein Saber Technique. However, before he could do so, the power he had stored was dispersed. Wang Quan had grasped his opponent's rhythm, and when he attacked, he disrupted Lin Fei's saber technique. He gently shook his hand and the Dragon Fiend Whip uncoiled from around his body and flew towards Lin Fei's chest. At this moment, Wang Quan's aura changed completely. He no longer smiled, and his gaze became as sinister as a venomous snake's, without a shred of emotion. A strong aura poured out and immediately suppressed Lin Fei's. Lin Fei just had his saber technique broken. When he looked at the whip approaching him, it was like a savage fiend dragon flying at him. He simply could not help but be distracted for a moment. Ka-ca. Ka-ca. By the time Lin Fei reacted, his body had already been sent flying into the air. When he landed on the floor, he vomited a large mouthful of blood. He had also broken several ribs. Immediately, the jade pendant at Lin Fei's waist sent out a strand of golden light into Wang Quan's jade pendant. The little golden dragon in Lin Fei's jade pendant turned slightly dimmer. As for the little dragon in Wang Quan's, its glow became richer. When Xiao Chen saw this incredible scene, a serious look flashed in his face. He asked doubtfully, "What is going on?" First Elder Zhang Kai explained, "This is seizing luck. The little golden dragon in the jade pendant is the luck you obtained from the dragon vein. Every time you defeat someone, you can forcefully seize some of your opponent's luck. When a certain amount has accumulated, this golden dragon will break out. By then, you will be able to seize more luck." Xiao Chen suddenly understood. He said, "I see. No wonder the city lord said that the amount of luck we can obtain would depend on us." Seizing power by force like this seemed very cruel to the weaker participants. The law of nature, where the strong preyed on the weak, was clearly demonstrated here. Xiao Chen lamented to himself, regardless of whether is it the best era or the worst era, in the end, the era of geniuses is a stage for the strong. The weak can only become stepping stones for the strong, allowing them to climb further. The competition continued. There was a total of 50 matches, everyone would have the chance to fight once. Now, it was Bai Qi's turn. His opponent was a small perfection half-step martial monarch bladesman. Faced with Bai Qi, who had a small perfection saber intent, that participant decisively chose to admit defeat. That bladesman's jade pendant immediately sent out a strand of golden light into Bai Qi's jade pendant. Match 36, Xiao Chen vs Duan Muqing. When Xiao Chen heard Duan Muqing's name, he was somewhat surprised. He had not expected that someone else from the great Qin nation had made it into the top 100. Furthermore, it was someone he knew. On the wind cloud platform, Duan Muqing looked at the white-robed Xiao Chen. Her cold eyes revealed a helpless expression. In the past, Xiao Chen could not even withstand a palm strike from Duan Muqing. However, after the battle at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, which made him famous, she found that she could no longer catch up to him. Now, Xiao Chen was a famous talented newcomer, one of the hot favorites for the top 10 ranks in the 5-nation youth competition. On the other hand, Duan Muqing had to fight so bitterly and she only barely made it into the top 100.